Earth had changed. The world was no longer just about nations, wars, or borders. Now it was about space, stars, and aliens. Humanity had joined the Galactic Union, a group of hundreds of advanced alien civilizations. And today was a special day. Earth was hosting a royal guest from one of the most powerful alien empires. Her name was Queen Alira of the Valari. She was not just any queen. People across the stars called her the most unique queen in the galaxy. No one had ever seen anyone like her. She was tall, graceful, with glowing silver skin and eyes like violet fire. Her long hair floated like it was made of soft light. She wore a shining armor made of living crystal. Every movement she made was elegant, silent, and calm. No one really knew her age. Some believed she was hundreds of years old. Others said she was chosen by the stars themselves. What everyone did agree on was this Queen Alira was special, powerful, and always alone. Now, she was coming to Earth. The welcome ceremony took place in Unity Hall, a giant dome in New Geneva, floating above the Atlantic Ocean. Earth's leaders, diplomats, soldiers, and scientists gathered to see the Queen of the Valari. Among the guests was a man named Daniel Reyes. Daniel stood in the back, wearing a simple gray suit. He wasn't important, not anymore. Once he had been a soldier in the Mars conflict, but after the war, he had retired quietly and taken a job as a systems engineer. He didn't like crowds. He didn't like politics. But his boss had pulled some strings to get him a ticket. So, here he was, bored, tired, and thinking about going home early. He never expected that this day would change his life forever. Trumpets echoed as a glowing platform descended from the sky. A large crystal ship floated above, humming gently. The Queen stepped down, flanked by her royal guards. The crowd gasped. Cameras clicked. Leaders bowed. Even the President of Earth looked nervous, but Alira didn't look at them. Her glowing eyes scanned the crowd slowly, silently, searching. Then she stopped. Her gaze locked onto Daniel. He blinked, confused. Was she looking at him? He could move. The Queen raised one hand and pointed directly at him. "That man," she said in perfect English, her voice soft but powerful. "He is my mate." The hall fell silent. People stared. Daniel stood frozen, his mouth open, but no words came out. The guards looked at each other. The president turned pale. Whispers spread like fire. Was this a joke? A test? A threat? No one moved. Queen Alira began walking toward Daniel, her steps slow and graceful. Her guards followed but kept their distance. The crowd parted like water. All eyes were on him. Daniel looked behind him. Hey, maybe she meant someone else. No. She was standing right in front of him now. He swallowed hard. Your Majesty, I think there's been a mistake." She raised her hand and gently placed 2 fingers on his chest. "I have seen the signs, felt the pull. The bond is real. You are mine." Daniel's heart pounded. "Wait, what does that mean? I didn't sign up for this." Alira tilted her head slightly, curious. "You do not understand. It is not something you sign. It is something that is. The stars have chosen, and so have I." Daniel felt everyone watching him. He felt hot and cold at the same time. He didn't even believe in fate. He was just a guy who liked fixing machines, not getting claimed by alien queens. "I'm just a human I don't know anything about mates, or Valari, or bonding. I will teach you," she said softly. "First, you must come with me. We must confirm the link." "Confirm the what?" "Biological, emotional, and psychic. Resonance." Her eyes glowed brighter. "The ancient code speaks of it. If our bond is true, it will be known to all." Daniel looked around. No one dared speak, not even the president. "You want me to go with you, now, yes?" Daniel laughed nervously. "This is crazy." Alira leaned forward slightly. "Do not fear, Daniel Reyes. I will not harm you. I have waited many lifetimes for this moment. You are not a prisoner. You are a gift." That didn't make him feel better. Still, Something in her voice, calm, confident, strange, made him pause. She didn't seem dangerous. She seemed certain, like she truly believed this was fate. And even though he didn't believe in fate, something deep inside him whispered, "This is real." Daniel sighed. "Okay, but if this is some alien misunderstanding, I want to go home after, all right?" The Queen gave a small smile. "If the bond is false, I will return you. You may never wish to leave."
Ah!
Her ship's platform extended once again. Daniel stepped on it beside her, feeling like a man walking into a dream, or a trap. The crowd watched in silence as the Queen and the human floated upward together. Inside the Valari ship, everything glowed with soft colors. The walls were alive, pulsing like slow heartbeats. Alira led Daniel into a quiet chamber. "Sit," she said gently. He did. A circle of light surrounded them. A strange device hovered nearby. Valari scientists began to chant softly. The room grew colder, then warmer. Daniel looked at the Queen. "So, what exactly are we checking here?" She met his eyes. "Weather. Our connection is written in the deep code of the universe." "That's not terrifying at all," he muttered. The scanner beeped. Lights swirled around him. Suddenly he felt something like a spark in his chest, like a memory that wasn't his. A voice without words, a feeling of standing in starlight. "What the hell?" he whispered. Illyra's eyes widened. "It too." He nodded slowly. "What is that?" "The bond," she said. "It is real," the scanner finished. Symbols danced in the air. The lead scientist looked at the Queen and bowed deeply. "It is confirmed," he said. "You are soulbound." Daniel blinked. "Wait, that's it? You're in a scan? And now I'm what, your cosmic husband?" Alira smiled. "In a way, I didn't ask for this. Nor did I," she said softly. "But it has happened. And now, we must decide what comes next." Daniel leaned back, eyes wide, mind spinning. He had come to watch a space queen. Now, he was sitting beside her, bound by something older than stars, and all he could think was, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Daniel sat alone in a round chamber made of glowing crystal. The walls pulsed with soft colors, purple, blue, silver, like the heartbeat of a living creature. The Valary ship was quiet. It was too quiet. He was still trying to understand what had happened a few hours ago. He was just an engineer, standing at the back of a fancy ceremony on Earth. Now he was inside an alien ship, floating above the planet, being told by the most powerful alien queen in the galaxy that he was her mate. Daniel rubbed his face. This is insane. The door opened. Queen Alira entered, moving gracefully. Her armor had changed. Now it was softer, like smooth glass that shimmered with light. She looked less like a warrior and more like a person. "Hope this space does not trouble you," she said. Daniel stood quickly. "No, it's fine. It's everything else that's the problem." Alira tilted her head. "You are still afraid?" "Afraid? Confused?" "Yes. You said there's some kind of ancient bond between us, but I've never even seen you before today." "The bond is not about time," she said. "It is older than memory. It exists across lifetimes. It's two souls calling each other." Daniel frowned. "But I don't feel like I belong in your world. I'm just a guy. I fix machines. I drink too much coffee. I hate crowds. And yet," she said calmly, "your soul chose mine, just as mine chose yours." Daniel sat back down. He didn't know what to say. He didn't want to hurt her feelings. Few and if queens even had feelings, but he also didn't want to be forced into something he didn't understand. "Listen," he said. "I don't want to be disrespectful. I get that this bond thing is serious. For you? But I'm not sure I believe in fate." She nodded. "Neither did I, until I met you." That surprised him. "White, too, didn't want a bond?" "No," she said softly. "I never searched for one. I've ruled my people for many years. I chose duty, not love, not destiny. But now, destiny has chosen me." They were quiet for a moment. Then Daniel asked, "What happens now?" "We run more tests." learn how deep the bond goes. And she paused. We decide what future we want. He raised an eyebrow. You're giving me a choice? Of course, she said. You are not a slave. You are not a tool. You are mine. But only if you accept me as yours. Daniel sighed. Okay, I'll stay for the tests. But after that, I need to think. Alira nodded. That is fair. Over the next 2 days, Daniel was shown parts of the ship no human had ever seen. He saw how the Valere used crystal-based technology that responded to thought. He learned how their ships flew without engines, using gravity wells and light. Fields he met scientists, warriors, and priests, all of whom bowed to him, called him starbound, and treated him like royalty. He hated it. I'm not a prince, he told one of the guards. But you are hers, the guard replied, smiling. Daniel couldn't argue with that. He didn't feel like he belonged here, but the queen treated him with kindness. She never forced him. She always asked. She explained everything slowly, carefully, like she wanted him to trust her, and slowly he did. One night while walking, on the ship's garden deck, a platform covered in floating light flowers, Daniel and Alira sat under a sky full of stars. Tell me about your world, she said. Daniel smiled. It's loud, messy. We argue a lot, but we care about freedom, about doing things our own way. She listened carefully. Sound proud of your people. I am. We've made mistakes, but we keep trying, and we never give up. She looked at him. That's why I think the bond is real. You're not like others. You do not chase power or glory. You chase truth. Daniel didn't know what to say to that, so he asked, what about you? Why do they call you the most unique queen? Alira smiled slightly. Because I am not fully Valari. My mother was human. Daniel blinked. Wait, what? Yes. She was a traveler, a scientist. She came to our world by accident. My father was a young prince. They fell in love. Their bond was strong but short. She died when I was young. The council tried to hide her past, but I never forgot her. Daniel sat quietly. That explained a lot. Why Alira spoke perfect English. Why she looked at him with both wonder and sadness. You've always felt like two different people. He said. She nodded. Yes, half light, half shadow. I never truly belonged anywhere. Daniel looked into her eyes. Now, I understand why you saw something in me. They sat in silence for a while. Then a soft alarm rang across the ship. Alira stood quickly. Her expression changed, calm but sharp. What is it? Daniel asked. The captain appeared on a glowing screen. Your Majesty, one of our royal patrols has gone missing near the border zone. No signal, no debris. It's like they vanished. Which ship? She asked the Illyrian. Alira's eyes narrowed. That ship was carrying high-level crystal cores. Daniel stood. You think it was an attack? Perhaps there are many who hate peace, and many who would steal our power. Daniel felt a chill. Can I help? She looked at him. You are not trained for war. I was a soldier, he said quietly. Not just an engineer. Alira studied him. Then come. This is the start of something darker. I want you at my side. They flew to the border zone in a sleek Valere scout vessel. The area was full of gas clouds and silent stars. No sign of the lost ship, but Daniel noticed something. There, he said, pointing. That's not natural. Those energy echoes, they look like a stealth field. The Valere officers were surprised. How do you see that? Used to spot hidden drones during the Martian campaign. Same pattern. They scanned deeper. A hidden structure appeared, a massive station built inside a hollow asteroid. It was human-made. Daniel's heart sank. Somebody from my side is stealing your technology. Alira's face was hard. Not your fault. But your skills may help stop them. Daniel looked at her. We go in together? She nodded. Yes, partners. They entered the station in stealth. Inside, they found stolen Valari tech, human, weapons, and captured royal guards. The place was run by a group of human black market dealers and someone else. An alien? A tall, scarred Valari in black armor? Daniel whispered, Who is that? Elira's voice was cold. General Malrex, exiled years ago for trying to steal the throne. I thought he was dead. He's working with humans now, Daniel said. Elira nodded. He wants the throne. And me. They watched as Malrex spoke on a screen. The queen has chosen a human. She has broken tradition. She is weak. The Valerie need a true leader. I will take the crown and destroy the bond. Daniel felt his hands tighten into fists. He's coming for you. Elira looked at him. No, he is coming for us. Back on the ship, the queen called her council. The threat is real, she said. Malrex has human allies. We must prepare for war. The council was shocked. Should we return the human? One asked. Daniel stood tall. No, I'm staying. I won't run. Not from this. Elira smiled, proud. Then we stand together. And in that moment, Daniel felt something powerful. Not magic, not destiny. Loyalty. Strength. Purpose. Maybe the bond was real. The galaxy was quiet, but tension was growing like a storm behind the stars. Inside her royal ship, Queen Elira stood before a floating screen. On it, General Malrex's face stared back, his cold eyes full of hatred. He had once been a Valerie. Commander. Now, he was an enemy of the crown. Worse, he had joined hands with human black market forces to steal Valari. Crystal cores, and he had spoken a dangerous threat. The queen is weak. She has chosen a human. I will end the bond and take the throne. Elira turned away from the screen. He's trying to divide my people, she said. He knows many still fear outsiders, especially humans. Daniel stood beside her. He wore a dark suit with armored plates, gifted by her royal guards. It didn't feel natural to him, but he had stopped arguing. He was no longer just an Earth engineer now. He was her chosen, and that meant he had to stand strong even when he didn't feel ready. We need a plan, Daniel said. He can't. Let him take the capital. If he does, your people might turn against you. Elira nodded. We will not let that happen. But Malrex is clever. He moves in the shadows. He strikes and disappears. I've dealt with enemies like that, Daniel said. On Mars, we had to fight hidden raiders. They never came in full force. They always used traps, tricks. He walked to the holographic map. There, this system. He pointed at a red cluster of stars. You said your cargo lanes run through here? Yes, Elira replied. 3 of our ships went missing there. Then that's where he's hiding. It's a perfect ambush spot. Clouds, radiation storms, and abandoned stations for cover. Elira looked at her generals. Prepare a scout team. We go tonight. Hours later, Daniel and Elira were on a stealth ship flying toward the red system. Inside the dark cockpit, the lights glowed softly around them. Outside, gas clouds swirled like painted fire. Daniel sat beside her, his hand resting near the controls. I still can't believe I'm doing this, he said quietly. Elira looked at him. If you are afraid, you may stay behind. He shook his head. No, I'm afraid, but I'm not leaving. She smiled slightly. Good. As the ship flew deeper, Daniel asked a question that had been in his mind for days. Why did you really choose me? Elira was silent for a moment. Then she said, because when I looked at you, I saw peace. Not power, not greed. Just quiet strength. I have lived my whole life in a storm. You were calm in the middle of it. Daniel looked at her. That's funny. Because I feel like you're the calm one. She smiled again. It wasn't a royal smile. It was a real one. Suddenly, alarms beeped. A Valerie officer turned from the front screen. Your Majesty, we are entering a gravity trap. The ship jerked. The stars twisted. Daniel grabbed the side. Rail. It's a false field. Someone's pulling us into a trap. Outside, enemy ships appeared black, silent, hidden in the cloud. They had fallen into an ambush. Inside the enemy station, General Malrex watched the Queen's ship get pulled into his trap. He laughed coldly. She came to me, foolish, blind. A human officer beside him asked, What about the human mate? Daniel Reyes. Rex's face darkened. He is the reason she is weak. Kill him first. Back inside the Valerie ship, lights flickered. Small fires broke out. Oxygen tanks hissed. Daniel rushed to the engine room. I can fix this. Give me 2 minutes. Alira looked at her guard captain. Buy him time. Defend the ship. Laser blasts shook the walls. Valari fighters flew out of the hangar to battle the enemy fleet. Daniel worked fast. Sparks burned. His hands, but he didn't stop. In his mind, he wasn't just trying to save the ship. He was trying to protect her. Finally, the engines roared back to life. Daniel yelled, "Powers up." We can move. The pilot turned the ship sharply, blasting out of the gravity trap. The Queen gave the order, attack. Valari ships surrounded the enemy using energy shields and crystal weapons. The black market fleet fought hard, but they weren't trained like the Royal Guard. Soon, most of the enemy ships were destroyed or fleeing. Only the enemy station remained. Daniel and Alira led the boarding team. Inside the dark station, corridors were silent and cold. Then came the ambush. Enemies jumped from the shadows. Laser blasts flew. Alira's guards fought with sharp crystal blades, moving like dancers of war. Daniel shot back to back with Alira, his pulse rifle humming. You fight well, she said as she ducked behind a wall. Thanks. I'm just remembering my old training. Suddenly, Malrex appeared. He wore dark armor, twisted by stolen crystals. He stepped into the hall, pointing at Alira. You have shamed our people, he said. You brought a human into our bloodline. Alira stood tall. You brought traitors into our home. Malrex's eyes burned. I will break the bond. I will take your crown. Your mate will die first. He raised his weapon. Daniel aimed his rifle. You want her? You'll have to go through me. Malrex smiled cruelly. Gladly. The fight was fast and brutal. Malrex was strong. His armor was powered by stolen royal crystals. His blows were heavy. Daniel dodged and fired. But the alien moved like a shadow. Alira jumped in, spinning her blade like light. Together they pushed Malrex back. But he was too powerful alone. Daniel saw a weak point in the armor's back. He ran behind the general, yelling to distract him. Malrex turned, but too late. Alira struck. Her blade pierced the power core. The armor exploded in light. Malrex fell, his body fading into sparks. It was over. Back on the royal ship, the crew cheered. The Queen had won, but she didn't smile. She looked at Daniel, his arm bleeding, his shirt burned. You could have died, she whispered. He grinned. Yeah, but I didn't. She walked close. Then, without speaking, she took his hand. He didn't pull away. That night, in her private chamber, Alira sat beside Daniel. You saved me. Da, she saved. Daniel shook his head. You saved me first. She looked at him. You are not just my mate. You are my strength. He was silent for a moment. Then he asked, What happens now? She leaned in, voice soft. Now, we prepare for war. Others may rise. And I need you with me. Daniel took a deep breath, and he said then, I'm staying. We faced them together. She smiled, warm, real, and full of light. The throne hall of the Valari capital was made of glowing crystal and floating lights. Long pillars reached toward the sky. The ceiling showed stars moving above like a living sky. But on this day, there was no peace. The hall was filled with voices, loud, angry, confused. The council had gathered. Priests, scientists, generals, nobles all, speaking at once. The Queen has risked too much. She brings war to our gates. She chose a human. This bond is dangerous. Queen Alira stood calmly at the center, her long, silver hair flowing like starlight. She wore her ceremonial armor. Her violet eyes glowed, but her voice was steady. I did not bring war, she said. It was already coming. Malrex was only the beginning. Some voices grew louder. And what of the bond? A noble asked. What of this Earthman? Can we trust him? Before Alira could reply, a voice echoed from the back. You can ask. Me yourself, Daniel said. All heads turned. Daniel walked forward slowly. He wore a light version of the Valerie guard armor, mixed with Earth-style materials. He looked confident, even though his heart pounded. I didn't ask for this bond, he said, and I didn't expect to be part of your world. But I fought beside your queen. I saved your ships. I risked my life, paused, and I stayed silent. Alira stepped beside him. This is no longer about fate. It's about choice. Choose him not because the stars said so, but because he has proven himself. The high priestess spoke. Then let it be known. The queen's mate is accepted by soul, by action, and by will. Alira turned to Daniel. Are you ready to walk beside me, as my equal? Daniel took her hand. Yes, he said. Because of destiny, but because I believe in you. Later that evening, Alira and Daniel stood on the high balcony of the palace. Below them, the crystal city shone like a lake of stars. You surprised them? Alira said. I surprised myself, Daniel replied. I never thought I'd be giving speeches in front of alien nobles. She smiled. They will grow to respect you. He looked at her. I don't need their respect. Just yours. She leaned closer. Already have it. They stood quietly for a while. But deep inside, both knew this peace was only temporary. The war was not over. The next day, reports came in. More ships had gone missing. Communications between outer colonies were broken. Someone was spreading chaos across the edges of the Valerie. Empire. Daniel studied the reports with the Queen's advisors. This isn't random, he said. These attacks are planned. Someone's testing your defenses. The generals agreed. But they had no clear enemy. Alira stepped in. We take the fight to the shadows. We find them before they reach us. She turned to Daniel. We must prepare. You will help train the guards. Me, he blinked. I'm no general. You trained soldiers on Mars, she said. You taught them how to fight in chaos. That is what we need now, he nodded. All right, but I'll do it my way. She smiled. Expect nothing less. In the days that followed, Daniel trained the Queen's Royal Guard in Earth-style tactics. He showed them how to move in pairs, how to think like their enemies, how to fight with speed, not just strength. He taught them how to improvise, using whatever they had at first. The guards didn't understand, but after a few mock battles, they began to learn. Daniel became known not as the Queen's mate, but as Commander Reyes. From above, pride in her eyes. He was changing them, and they were changing him. One night, after training, Daniel returned to his quarters. He found Alira waiting, sitting by the glowing wall. She stood as he entered. I have something to show you, she said. He followed her into a quiet chamber. The walls were covered in moving symbols, old Valari script. What is this place? He asked. She pressed a crystal on the wall. A light beam opened. This is my mother's memory room. Daniel stepped forward slowly. Holograms appeared, images of a woman with soft brown skin and human eyes. She stood beside a Valerie man. Laughing, that's her, Daniel whispered. Alira nodded. My mother, a human scientist. Her name was Dr. Liana Mendez. She looks like you. She gave up her world for love. She died too soon. But she gave me strength, and now I see her in you. Daniel looked at the images. She must have been brave. She was. Alira said, like you. They stood together in silence. Then she turned to him. Daniel, if war comes, I want to fight beside you. Not as your queen, but as your partner. He looked into her glowing eyes. I'm not going anywhere, he said. They kissed, soft, slow, and real, not because of fate, but because they chose each other. The warning came the next morning. One of the outposts had gone silent. A key crystal. Vault was under attack. Enemy ships with stolen tech were moving fast, too fast for regular defense teams. Alira stood in the war chamber. We will not wait, she said. We go now. Daniel put on his armor. We go together. This time. No one questioned him. The battle was fierce. Enemy forces had upgraded weapons Veilari tech, mixed with human designs. Their leader was a masked figure who moved with deadly speed. Daniel led the flanking team. Alira flew into the heart of the battle with her blade glowing together. They fought as one, but the masked leader escaped. As the enemy retreated, Daniel stood over the smoking ground, breathing hard. "Did you see his fighting style?" he asked. "Yes," Alira replied. It was Veilari, but also Earth-like. Daniel frowned. "We're missing something." Alira's eyes narrowed. "Then we must find out what." Back on the royal ship, Daniel sat beside her. "We won today, but not for long," he said. She nodded. "A greater storm is coming." He took her hand. "Then we face it together." Not as queen and soldier, but as partners, she smiled. Not fate, choice exactly. The stars outside blinked, and their bond, no longer a mystery, felt stronger than ever. The Veilari palace stood quiet under a silver sky. Crystals hummed low, sensing the storm in the air. Inside the throne chamber, Queen Alira walked slowly. Her long robe moved like water, but her eyes, they were not calm. She was thinking, planning, worried. Daniel stood near the crystal wall, reading reports. Another attack. This time near the Andorran line. The enemy destroyed a supply ship and vanished again. Alira looked up. "Same pattern?" "Yes, same tactics. But something's off. They're not just stealing crystals now. They're cutting off your support lines." "Like a slow trap," she said. Daniel nodded. "Exactly. Someone wants to wear you down before making the final move." Alira stared at the stars. "I fear the final move is close." The next day, the palace guards detected a strange signal. Near the outer edge of the system, it was weak, broken like a whisper in space. Daniel studied the signal. "It's a message." Alira came close. "Can you decode it?" He tapped a few buttons. Letters and symbols filled the air. The message played. A broken voice said, "Help, Crystal Vault, under siege. Masked leader commands both human and Veilari. Traitor inside, plans to strike. Capital next." The voice stopped. Alira's face turned cold. "Then the final attack is near. We can't wait. Let's find the vault. Hit them first." She looked at him. "It could be a trap." "Maybe, but we have no choice." She nodded. The hunt began. They took a fast assault cruiser and traveled to the vault system. The sky there was red with gas storms. The vault floated inside an asteroid, protected by shield towers. But the shields were down. Alira frowned. Too quiet. Daniel gripped his weapon. "They're already here." They entered the vault. Inside, the hallways were dark. Fires burned. Crystals were shattered. They moved slowly, step by step. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the wall. Enemy forces swarmed. "Defend the queen," shouted the Veilari guards. Alira and Daniel fought side by side, like fire and steel. Their movements matched perfectly. Every enemy who came near fell. Then the masked figure appeared again. This time, he didn't run. He walked forward. Tall, silent. His armor was black and silver. His eyes hidden. He raised a blade of twisted crystal and pointed at Alira. "You took a human as your mate," he said. "Now you will fall." Daniel stepped forward. "You talk too much." The masked warrior attacked. The duel was fast and deadly. Alira struck with grace. Daniel shot with precision. But the masked enemy was strong, too strong. Daniel was thrown back. He hit the wall hard, blood on his lip. Alira blocked a strike aimed at his chest. The masked one laughed. "He weakens you." "No," she said. "He gives me strength." Her crystal blade clashed with his. Sparks flew. Then the mask cracked. It fell off. Daniel froze. The enemy's face was Veilari, but familiar. Alira gasped. "Raelian." Daniel asked, "Who is he?" Whispered. "My cousin, thought dead. Banished long ago." Raelian smiled darkly. "I survived. I learned. I watched." And I saw you fall in love with a human. You disgraced the bloodline. Alira stood firm. Then I disgrace it with honor. Rayleon raised his weapon again. I will take the throne. Your mate will die first, charged. Daniel got up and stepped in front of Alira. He didn't think. He didn't speak. He just moved. Rayleon's blade hit his armor, cracking it. Daniel cried out, but stayed standing. Alira screamed. Nitrogen, monoxide. She unleashed her full power. Light poured from her hands. Crystals glowed. Energy blasted outward. Rayleon was thrown across the vault, hitting the wall hard. He didn't move again. Daniel fell to his knees. Alira rushed to him, holding him in her arms. You fool, she whispered, her voice shaking. Why did you do that? He smiled weakly. Because I chose you. She pressed her forehead against his. And I choose you. Always. Back on the royal ship, Daniel was treated quickly. Valari healers worked fast. Soon, he was awake, his chest bandaged. Alira sat beside him. He looked at her. Is he alive? But in chains, he will face the council. Daniel sighed. Good. She touched his face gently. You could have died, maybe, but I didn't. You protected me. She smiled. We protect each other. In the days that followed, news of Rayleon's attack spread across the empire. But something else spread to hope. The people saw how the queen had fought, how the human mate had stood strong, how the bond had not made her weak, but stronger. For the first time in history, a Valari queen and a human stood side by side. Not by side, by tradition, not by law, but by choice. A few weeks later, a great ceremony was held. Not for war, not for victory, but for unity. Queen Alira stood at the front of the grand chamber. Daniel stood beside her, the council, the guards. The people of 100 systems watched in silence. Alira raised her hand. I was chosen by the stars, but I also chose with my heart. This man, Daniel Reyes, is not just my mate. He is my equal, my partner, my strength, my love. The crowd bowed deeply. Daniel stepped forward. I never expected to be here. I never believed in fate, but I believe in her. And I stand with her not because I was told to, but because I choose her. The hall echoed with light, and the galaxy changed that day. Weeks later, they stood on a new world, green fields, blue skies, quiet wind. Alira took off her crown. She set it gently on a crystal stone. I will not rule with walls, she said. I will travel, help the forgotten worlds, bring peace where war still hides. Daniel looked at her. Then I'm coming too, she smiled. Of course you are. They walked together through the field. No guards, no throne, no power games, just a queen and a soldier. A bond once written in the stars, now bound by love, courage, and choice.